This is a presentation on the OWCP 5 basic element requirements for filing a worker-related injury claim successfully. This presentation is brought to you by Dr. Taylor at M&R Medical Therapy Centers in Tampa, Florida, and there's a link here to our website if you'd like to know more about our clinic. M&R Medical Clinic is an occupational medicine clinic that primarily focuses on federal workers' compensation. We are a full-service physical therapy and medical clinic. Now, it's the injured worker's claimant's responsibility to establish the 5 basic element requirements of a claim, which is known as a burden of proof. It is OWCP's responsibility to prove it is approved a claim during the adjudication phase of the claim, but the burden of proof is on you and your doctor. Now, the 5 basic criteria are also known as elements that the Federal Employee Compensation Act, or FECA, require. The 5 basic criteria are: 1, be timely filed; 2, be made by a federal civil employee; 3, you have to establish as a federal employee a fact of injury which has both a factual and medical component. Factually, the injury, accident, or employment factor alleged must have actually occurred. Medically, a medical condition must be diagnosed in connection with the injury or the event. 4, you establish performance of duty. The injury and/or medical condition must have arisen during the course of employment and within the scope of compensable work-related factors. Basic elements of a claim. First, it's got to be timely, civil employee, fact of injury, performance of duty, and there has to be a causal relationship established by a medical narrative. All 5 elements must be met before benefits can be awarded. You have to check off each of the 5 boxes. Number 5 is the most important because it establishes causal relationship, which means the medical evidence from your doctor establishes that the diagnosed condition is causally related to the injury or the event. These criteria, the 5 we've mentioned, must be satisfied in the order listed above for an OWCP DOL federal work injury to be accepted as a successful claim. Now, an original claim for compensation for disability or death must be filed within 3 years after 1, date of injury; 2, date when the injured employee becomes aware, reasonably should have been aware of, a possible work-related disease or condition occurred, or the date of last exposure. Understand that there are expiration dates and timely filing is important. Now, an injured worker has 3 years to file a traumatic injury claim. In a traumatic injury claim, time begins to run from the date of injury where the injury can be identified as to time, place, and circumstances of occurrence. Note, a claim for continuation of pay, or COP, must be filed within 30 days of the date of injury on Form CA1. Now, fact of injury equals 2 parts. Factual must establish a claimant actually experienced the accident, untoward event, or employment factor for which is alleged to have occurred. Now, the medical factor of injury must establish a medical condition diagnosed in connection with the work-related factor of the accident, incident, or exposure. These facts are vitally important, and that's why an experienced doctor who understands this is important. An injured worker's statement alleging that an accident occurred at a given place, time, or in a given manner is of great probative value and will stand unless refuted by strong or pervasive evidence. However, OWCP also considers circumstances surrounding the claimant's injury in determining if active injury is established, such as unexplained delay in filing claim and ambiguous and inconsistent statements. Fact of injury. This is the most important and most disputed part. First, we'll talk about the medical. First, a medical report or narrative is required from a qualified physician who's an approved OWCP provider, and that is defined in 5 U.S.C. 810-12, which states that a physician includes surgeons, podiatrists, dentists, clinical psychologists, chiropractors, and osteopaths. There's also practitioners within the scope of their practice as defined by state law. The medical report must provide a diagnosis linked to the injury, except in cases of a visible injury. The diagnosis does not have to match the exact condition claimed and does not need to address the issue of causal relationship in order for the fact of injury to be medically substantiated. The law is fair. Now, in order to establish that the claimed injury occurred in the performance of duty, you, the employee, must establish the following. One, in the course of employment, that you are doing your job. This deals with the work setting, local, time, and circumstances. Second, arising out of the employment, that is, if the required that an employment factor caused the injury. Now, the fifth element of requirement is known as a causal relationship, and a causal relationship is a link between work-related factors of your injury and a medical condition found on examination by your provider or your doctor. They have to concur and they have to agree. For more information on DOL and OWCP topics like this, and animation videos, or the podcast, stop by Federal Workers' Compensation Coffee Break Podcast, or come see the doctors at M&R Medical Therapy Centers in Florida. We're located in Tampa. M&R Medical Centers has been treating work-related injuries for over a decade, and the providers have more than 40 years of experience doing federal work injury-related claims. If you need an approved provider in Florida, come see us. Federal Workers Comp Coffee Break Podcast is a short format podcast that covers all topics related to federal workers' injuries, and it's brought by OWCP consultant Dr. Taylor, who's been doing federal workers' comp for 29 years. I want to thank you guys for stopping by, and if you liked this video and you'd like to share it, we ask you to share, and if you like it, click on that bell and subscribe. Thanks for stopping by. See you next time.